Something keeps pulling you back. Maybe it's the drink at the end of the day, the one that's become two, then three, and you're not sure exactly when that happened. Maybe it's the anxiety that wakes you at 3 a.m. with a chest full of something you can't name. And maybe it's the low mood that sits on you like weather, grey, heavy, persistent, that no amount of fresh air, exercise or positive thinking has been able to lift. And maybe it's the compulsive scrolling, the comfort eating, the overworking, the relationships that follow the same painful pattern, no matter how hard you try to choose differently. You have probably tried to fix these things, more willpower, more discipline, more understanding of why, and yet the pull remains. What if I told you that every single one of those things has the same root cause? And that root cause has nothing to do with willpower, nothing to do with discipline, and nothing to do with how strong or weak you are. Today, I want to introduce you to something I call the density trap, a new framework for understanding addiction, self-defeat, and emotional suffering. One that I believe changes everything. Here is what the medical model tells us about depression, anxiety, and addiction. They are disorders. They are conditions. They are things to be managed, medicated, controlled. Now, I have enormous respect for medicine, of course, and I want to offer something alongside it. What if depression is not a disorder? What if anxiety is not a malfunction? And what if the addictive pull toward the substance, the behavior, the numbing is not a character flaw or a broken brain? What if all of these are signals? The body's intelligent, desperate, urgent attempt to communicate that something underneath has never been addressed, never been felt, never been cleared. Not a problem to suppress, a message to decode. In the 1980s, a psychiatrist and consciousness researcher named Dr. David Hawkins developed something called the Map of Consciousness. It is a scale, a vibrational map that assigns a measurable frequency to every state of human emotion and consciousness. Now, at the very bottom of that scale, the lowest frequencies a human being can experience sit: shame at 20 hertz, guilt at 30, apathy at 50, and grief at 75. These are not just feelings, these are states of consciousness, and they have physical weight, they have measurable impact. Hawkins demonstrated that these frequencies, when they live in the body unprocessed, literally suppress life force. They are dense, slow, heavy, and when they stack layer upon layer upon year, they create what I call emotional density, an internal pressure so profound, so relentless that the nervous system simply cannot hold it. It needs relief. And here is where it gets extraordinary. Just above all of that density, at the frequency of 125 on Hawkins scale, sits desire. Craving, wanting, reaching. Desire at 125 is 6 times higher than shame at 20. And when the body is drowning in the dense, slow, suffocating weight of shame and apathy, desire feels like oxygen. It feels like aliveness, like relief, like waking up. And so without any conscious decision, without any intention, the nervous system reaches for it. It reaches for the drink because alcohol delivers a short, fast rise in sensation. It reaches for the drama because adrenaline is temporarily higher than apathy. And it reaches for the compulsive behavior, the gambling, the spending, the binging, because doing something, anything, is better than sitting in the grey weight of nothing. It reaches for the relationship that mirrors what it knows, because every painful familiarity is preferable to the silent, dense ache underneath. This is the density trap. The dense, low-frequency emotional energy creates an internal pressure. The pressure generates a craving for relief. The craving drives behavior that feels like the solution, but only ever addresses the symptom. And the density underneath remains untouched, unchanged, ready to generate the next craving and the next, and on it goes. This is why willpower does not work. This is why understanding does not work, because neither willpower nor understanding addresses the density. They work on the surface. The density lives deep underneath. And I want to be very real with you here. The woman who cannot stop at one glass of wine, and the woman who cannot get out of bed, and the woman who is exhausted by her own anxious mind, and the woman who keeps choosing relationships that leave her feeling invisible are very often carrying the same emotional density. Different symptoms, same frequency. And here is what I want you to know, what I most need you to hear. None of this is a character flaw. None of this is weakness. And none of this is evidence that you are broken or beyond help or fundamentally flawed. It is evidence that you are carrying something that has never been properly addressed at the level it needs to be addressed in the body, in the energy field, in the subconscious and beyond. This density does not appear from nowhere. It accumulates from experiences that were too much to feel at the time, from emotions that were suppressed because the environment wasn't safe enough to express them, from childhood wounding, the messages absorbed before we had the language to question them, from generations of unexpressed grief and unacknowledged shame that was passed down quietly, invisibly, in the way families move through the world. Every time an emotion was swallowed rather than felt, Every time grief was silenced, fear was pushed down, shame was hidden, a layer was added over years, over decades, over a lifetime, until the density became the ground you stand on, so familiar that you no longer recognize it as something separate from yourself. You think, this is just who I am. I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm someone who can't stop. But that is not who you are. That is what you are carrying. And what can be carried can be put down. In the next video, we go deeper into the most powerful of all these frequencies, shame. Because shame at 20 hertz is not just the lowest frequency on the scale. It is the most deeply hidden, the one most rarely spoken, the one that has been silently orchestrating more of your life than you may know. Understanding it, really understanding it, is the beginning of freedom from it. The link to video 2 is below. And if something in this video has already stirred something in you, that stirring is real. Just pay attention to it, sit with it. That is your superconscious beginning to signal that it is ready. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being here.